authorized Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Record. Today is Monday, the 13th day of May 2019. Monday the 13th. Pay no attention to the 13th at all. Just consider it to be Monday. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend, that you enjoyed the rain that we got this morning, the little shower, and showers of blessing. We're thankful for that as well. I know some of you are upset about the interruption in electricity, and I will be talking about that in the half hour that I will have before our guests appear on For the Record this morning. As well, if you're on the roads, the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, a bicyclist, a motorcyclist, operating any form of vehicle on the roads, I urge you again to be careful, observe the rules of the road, and remember the life that you save may be your own. I want to thank you, folks, for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You're free to call us on our toll-free number, provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Some very important news to give you. This one is in regards to the UK's rejection, UK government's rejection of the Foreign Affairs Committee's recommendation in relation to UK citizens and other persons resident in the Cayman Islands being given the franchise, the right to vote in the Cayman Islands. There is also a press release that was sent out by the government to be released today as well. I'm not sure whether or not the local papers have carried that yet. The news, I'm told Radio Cayman's news has carried it, and I'm going to share that with you for those of you who have not heard it. And this is actually coming from the Royal Gazette newspaper, and it reads as follows. The British government has rejected a parliamentary committee proposal to come up with a timetable for talks that would give British residents in this case it says Bermuda, but also in overseas territories, the right to vote. It said the Foreign Office did not plan to publish any such schedule, but recognized the importance of a reasonable qualifying process to allow expatriates a place at the ballot box in overseas territories. And I'm going to interrupt for a second and say that we already have that in our Constitution. There is a process whereby persons who are permanently resident in the Cayman Islands, there is a pathway for them to be able to vote in the Cayman Islands. As concerns a pathway for them to sit in our legislature as representatives, no, that is not the case. We have guarded that right very closely, and we need to continue to do that as long as our population remains the way that it is, and as long as it in any way threatens the survivals and the identity of Caymanians. That's my part. I put that part in there, right? So the article goes on to say, in its response to the House of Commons Committee report, the British government also said timetables would be set for the introduction of public company ownership registers, and that it planned to hold workshops on their implementation in the coming months. The Foreign Affairs Committee earlier this year recommended the launch of a consultation that would bring about a plan for a pathway for all resident UK and British Overseas Territory citizens to be able to vote and hold elected office in the territories. Its report, Global Britain and the Overseas Territories, Resetting the Relationship, added that the Foreign Office should set a timeline for the process and set a dateline for phasing out discriminatory elements of belongership or its territory-specific equivalent. The UK government's response was released by the committee today. That's what the article says, but that would have been this article is dated 13th, updated, the 13th today. So was released today. It said the UK government understands the committee's concerns and continues to impress upon the overseas territory governments the importance of allowing people who have made their permanent home in the territories the ability to vote and exchange fully in the community, but recognizes the desire of island communities to maintain their cohesion, hence the need for a reasonable qualifying process. Again, I will repeat, we have a reasonable qualifying process here in the Cayman Islands. Not only that, but we have also grandfathered in our legislation those persons who resided here before the stricter qualifications came into effect. For instance, all you had to be was a Commonwealth citizen, resident in the island for at least, I believe it may have been 4 years, and you qualified to vote. So we've always had that in place, no question about that in the Cayman Islands. The article goes on to say, we understand the overseas territories' concerns, sensitivities, and historical background on this issue. The response added, in the spirit of a relationship based upon partnership, we will continue to support and encourage consistent and open political engagement on belongership and its territory-specific equivalents, while rejecting the fact that immigration decisions are primarily a matter for overseas territories' governments, while respecting that. So the British government taking a pretty firm stand in this area, and we applaud them for that. It goes on to say that the FCO does not plan at a future date to publish such a timetable. The committee's report pointed out that relationships between the UK and the territories became strained in May last year when the Sanctions and Anti-Money Laundering Act was passed, setting out a deadline to produce a company's beneficial ownership register available to the public by the end of the year. It added that the committee regretted public registry may not be published before 2023 and recommended that the Foreign Secretary, along with Overseas Territories government, should, before the summer recess, lay out a detailed table for the publication of registers in each jurisdiction. In its reply, the British government said it would prepare an order in council, which is effectively a decree from the UK, by the end of 2020, with Overseas Territories expected to have fully functioning public accessible registers as soon as possible and no later than the end of 2023. It added, "We are scoping the assistance the Overseas Territories will require and will be holding technical workshops and providing OTs with assurances over the coming months." So, sharing that with you, I will find our government's press release in relation to that and also share that with you. Now, I know that many people, and I got some calls last night in relation to this as well, many people have been disturbed about the recent interruptions in electricity service in the Cayman Islands by our sole electrical provider, CUC. What I'm going to share with you is an editorial in the Tradewinds newspaper dated Thursday, the 12th of May, 1966. What I also have, and hopefully I can share with you before the 8 o'clock news, some of the commitments that CUC made at the time that they took over the supply of electricity in the Cayman Islands. The editorial reads, "On Tuesday this week, Caribbean Utilities Company Limited officially took over the responsibility for the supply of electric power to the western portion of Grand Cayman. This company is new, but most of the men behind it have become well acquainted with many Caymanians over the last year or so, during which they have been negotiating to acquire this utility. The future prospects of the power system have been thoroughly explored by the new group, and a contract has been negotiated with the government in the form of a long-term franchise which ensures the installation of an additional large generator now on order for delivery in the very near future, and a great improvement in the distribution system so that everyone should benefit from the change. However, none of us should expect miracles. The old power company always suffered from a shortage of funds, and during the past 4 years, the Cayman Islands Government Electricity Undertaking, which was the name of the company at that time, has limited its improvements of the system within the bounds of its earnings, which have not been large. Accordingly, the new owners will have a great backlog of work to catch up, along with the additional improvements to which they are committed. So we will have to be patient. Within the next 2 years, everyone in the western part of the island who wants electricity service should be able to get it without delay, and we should by then be free of interruptions and low voltage. Well, that's a great wish at that time, great expectation. In retrospect, it seems unfortunate that the government was not more careful in granting options for power distribution in the easterly portion of the islands, so that the present dispute over that matter would not have arisen, although this did facilitate the development of quite satisfactory power service in Borden Town. So even in 1966, in this editorial, there was talk about whether or not there should be options for electricity distribution in the Cayman Islands. And I would interpret that as meaning whether or not there should be more than one provider at that point in time. One result is that those in the eastern portion of the islands will have to await resolution of the problem created before they can even hope for service. But it should be realized that service to those areas cannot be expected for some time due to the cost of running lines over the long distances to service those communities. In any event, our placing confidence in this new company, which appears to be well-financed, in a position to draw on the broad experience of some of the participants, and with local representatives on its board of directors closely, and this is in parentheses, we hope not too closely, aligned with the government of these islands, should mark the opening of a new era in Grand Cayman. We now look to the new company to demonstrate that this confidence is well placed and hope that it will manage over the next year or two to provide completely reliable power through a steady improving system at the lowest price, which the principals have indicated they will be able to do. That is in 1966. And the rhetorical question, is CUC living up to those commitments today in 2019? Yes, here in the Caribbean, we have probably one of the most reliable services, but you know how we in Cayman Islands are. We want everything to be perfect. Folks, please stay tuned. More to share with you. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we return, I will read you what CUC had to say in 1966 as well.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Sir John Alfred Cumber, KB, CMG, MBE, TD, 1920 to 1991. Sir John Alfred Cumber was the administrator of the Cayman Islands from 1964 to 1968. During his tenure, he started the primary school construction program and the Chamber of Commerce, was responsible for Cable and Wireless and Caribbean Utilities Company entering the Cayman utility market, and introduced mosquito control with the services of Dr. Marco Giglioli. He was responsible for the introduction of the company's law and the trust law. Under his watch, the Owen Roberts Airfield was asphalted and upgraded. The results of these initiatives are the present-day tourism sector and the offshore banking sector of the Cayman Islands economy. He was married to the former Margaret Ann Tripp, and the couple had 2 children. Radio Cayman's Historical Facts Vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Circle of Love Women's Ministry and DCFS would like to thank our gold sponsors for their support of the annual Child Month Breakfast on May 11, 2019. Smoothie King, Wallscape, Burger King, Rotary Sunrise, The Medical Specialists, Koshules, Crichton Properties, Bodden & Bodden Attorneys at Law, and R.C. Bodden. Thank you, gold sponsors, for empowering, impacting, and encouraging the future of the Cayman Islands. For more information on the Child Month Breakfast or to be a sponsor, contact Shanda Hunter at 922-3229.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
They say cleaning your house never killed anyone, but why take chances? Spend your time doing what you love and leave the rest to Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential with 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Take back your life and get the job done right the first time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Rotaract Blue, in support of the Cayman Special Needs Community, present the 11th Annual Open Arms Gala, The Great Gatsby. Saturday, May 25th at Ristorante Papagayo. Cocktails begin at 6 p.m. 3-course dinner, award ceremony, silent auction at 7 p.m. Attire is Gatsby chic. Your ticket is only $100 per person. Your table only $1,500. Tickets available online at eventpro.ky or email president.rotaractblue@gmail.com. The Open Arms Program promotes care, understanding, and non-discrimination for disabled persons. The Great Gatsby by Rotaract Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
Why my wife always asking if I'm in a rush when she's the one always making us late?
Might as well say, yeah, I'm in a rush and go buy the new Toyota Rush you've been talking about. Because they on sale this month. Dial teacher.
The super special spring SUV sale at Vant Motors. Save up to $4,400 with SUVs starting at only $23,500, like the 7-seater Toyota Rush. Save money, get cash back, or use the discount to upgrade features on the SUV of your choice, including the Toyota RAV4, the Fortuner, the Rush, or the Ford EcoSport. It's our super special spring SUV sale. Only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In response to the calls that I received in relation to the interruption of service, electrical service in the Cayman Islands over the past few days and more so yesterday, I have shared with you an editorial dated the 12th of May 1966 in the Tradewinds newspaper. Also in that newspaper on that date, there was a half-page ad taken out by CUC, and it is the top caption on it: "We are glad to be here." And I would imagine if the people of the Cayman Islands were to put their response to that at that time, they would have said, we are glad to have you here as well. And we're still glad to have CUC here based on the service that we have, but that we're getting from them. And we also know that they are quite proactive, or maybe reactive in terms of appraising us of the situations, telling us what has occurred and what they're doing to remedy any issues that they may have. So the half-page ad taken out, "We are glad to be here." This is a letter from our managing director. "The future of Grand Cayman is our future. We promise you that Caribbean Utilities Company Limited is here to stay. We will be good citizens and a good neighbor. We expect to do always more than our part to bring substantial growth and prosperity to these islands. I say these things with all sincerity. Robert M. O'Dare, Managing Director, Caribbean Utilities Company Limited. We have become a part of the Cayman Islands. We pledge our sincere best efforts to give the people of Cayman the services they require. We shall in accordance with the license granted by the Cayman Islands government, carry out our programs works in to ensure a reliable and adequate supply of electricity to all areas now served by us, and in due course extend our power lines to other developing areas of the community. Shortly, a limited amount of stock in this company will be offered for sale in the Cayman Islands. We invite you to join us in this growing industry. A notice of sale of the stock will appear in Tradewinds. We welcome constructive suggestions and sincerely solicit your goodwill. And I must say that those offers of shares were made. Some people took it up. Unfortunately, many didn't, and we know where the stock of Caribbean Utilities stands today. It is something that is valued locally, and people are clamoring to buy shares from them. Also, here's another article. CUC emphasizes the use of local labor, and it says operating personnel employed by the government's electricity undertaking, that was the name of the old electrical company when the government had it, will continue in their jobs when operation of Grand Cayman's power facilities is taken over on May 10th by the Caribbean Utilities Company Limited. Officials of the new company told the Tradewinds this week. So May 10th, 1966 is the effective date that CUC took over electricity distribution. In addition, local labor will be employed insofar as possible when the new firm begins installation of a new 500 kilowatt generator until unit at the central power plant and launches work on other projects which will improve and extend the distribution system along with increasing the capability of the power facilities. General improvements in the electrical services on the island is an immediate goal, and the company officials state. Stockholders of the firm, which was organized largely by business and professional men from the United States who have made vacation visits to Grand Cayman, recently elected 6 additional members of the board of directors to serve in that capacity along with the officers of the company. And it goes on to name those directors as well, and also points out that the local directors were the Honorable T.W. Farrington, Warren Connolly, and Eldon Cockernal, all residents of Grand Cayman. Company officers announced earlier that Mr. Robert M. O'Dare of Lexington, Kentucky, Managing Director and Chairman of the Board, Mr. Davis H. Elliott of Roanoke, Virginia, Vice Managing Director and Vice Chair of the Board, Mr. E.S.E. Levis of Lexington, Secretary, and Mr. James Shropshire of Lexington, Secretary as well. So that gives you a little history of Caribbean Utilities Company. We have had outages during last week and more recently last night. People have complained. Some people have spoken about damage to some of their equipment, some of their appliances as well. And we know and we trust that CUC will be addressing this issue and tell us exactly what has occurred and give us assurances as to what to expect in the future. Folks, we're going to take that break now at 8 o'clock for 8 o'clock news. When we return, we hope to have some members of government in here with us to talk about Child Month and also later on the Family Resource Center workshops as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Price Right is a minute after 8.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore. Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The Premier welcomes the United Kingdom government's response to a controversial report published by the Foreign Affairs Committee back in February. Global Britain and the British Overseas Territories made several recommendations that the Honourable Alda McLaughlin heavily criticised, including recommendations on registers of beneficial ownership, same-sex marriage, and giving all resident UK citizens the right to vote and hold office in an overseas territory. In its response, the UK government has reaffirmed the existing understanding of the consultative process being followed with regards to beneficial ownership and came out against an accelerated timetable to deal with it. On the issue of same-sex marriage, the UK government made it clear, quote, that the issue should be one for the territories to decide and legislate on. And on voting, the UK government says, quote, immigration decisions are primarily a matter for OT governments. The Premier, Mr. McLaughlin, in a written statement says, quote, I'm very pleased that the UK has clearly listened to the representations that I and other OT leaders have made. The 2019 Chamber of Commerce Economic Forum will give local business owners a chance to hear directly from the Minister of Finance on policy issues that will affect their success. The Chamber says the Honourable Roy McTaggart will discuss the state of government's finances as well as key policies going forward that will help drive Cayman's economic growth. The forum will also present delegates with the opportunity to participate in interactive panel discussions, which will cover topics such as planning for the impact of economic substance legislation, growing a sustainable tourism product, preparing Cayman's workforce and the new work plan, and balancing population, infrastructure, and economic growth. The forum is Friday, May 31st at the Kimpton. For more information, you can head to caymanchamber.ky. In regional news, a billionaire from the Isle of Man has been detained in a Caribbean island after being charged with drug smuggling. Alki David was stopped at customs in St. Kitts after an estimated 5,000 cannabis plants were found in his private jet. Mr. David, however, told authorities his cargo was, quote, pure hemp, which he claims is legal and non-psychoactive. It's believed the crop was intended for a new venture in the Caribbean for his Swiss ex-company. The Leventis family, who are worth $4.6 billion following a merger with Coca-Cola, now run the largest bottling operation in Europe. Cash bail of $30,000 has been paid, and he's due to appear in court this week. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with David Austin. Prosecutors in Sweden are to reopen an investigation into an alleged rape in 2010 by the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. They're starting proceedings to extradite him when he's released in Britain from a 50-week jail sentence for a bail offence. Mr. Assange denies the allegation. WikiLeaks said there had been considerable political pressure on Sweden. A Norwegian shipping company says one of its vessels was damaged off the coast of the United Arab Emirates on Sunday, when several other ships were reportedly the target of sabotage operations. Earlier, the Saudi government condemned what it said were attacks that damaged two of its oil tankers. The authorities in Iran say an Iranian national has been sentenced to 10 years in jail on charges of spying for Britain. A judicial spokesman said the person responsible was managing a project for the British Council. People have been voting in the Philippines in elections that could see the outspoken president, Rodrigo Duterte, consolidate his grip on power. The president is hoping his allies take control of the Senate, which has previously been critical of many of his policies. Vietnam has culled more than 1 million pigs to control the spread of African swine fever, a disease that's sweeping across East Asia. China has already destroyed more than 1 million of the animals since the first outbreak there last August. A strike in Indian-administered Kashmir has brought much of the summer capital, Srinagar, to a standstill as protests continue over the alleged rape of a 3-year-old girl. Most shops, schools and businesses are shut. The government of Zimbabwe says it's earned more than $2 million from exporting 97 young elephants to China and Dubai in recent years. It says the money supports elephant conservation and anti-poaching activities. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
How would you like to drive off in a brand new 2019 all-white Mercedes-Benz CLA 250? On Saturday, June 1st at Mango Tree, you could be that lucky person. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman presents its annual charity fundraising event, Benzorama 2019. That's right, one lucky winner will be announced at the Mango Tree on Saturday, June 1st, and that lucky winner could be you.
If you don't have a ticket, you don't have a chance.
Tickets are $25 each, or 5 tickets for only $100. Proceeds from the funds raised go towards various Lions community projects. Tickets can be purchased online at eventpro.ky, or stop by one of our ticket outlets, including Radio Cayman Studios, Funky Tangs, South Coast Bar, Reflections Food for Less, and West Bay Road SO, or can be purchased from any of our active Lions community members. Benzorama 2019. We are all winners once you support the Lions and our community.
While the primary source of alcohol for underage drinkers is people they know, research shows that 7 to 9% of those who report alcohol use in the Cayman Islands purchase alcohol directly from retailers. Tips Off-Premise helps retailers focus on verifying the legal drinking age when selling alcohol. Since the program was introduced here in the Cayman Islands back in 2005, we have trained over 400 persons and partnered with over 10 retailers. Contact us on 949-9000 to have your staff trained today. This message is brought to you by Radio Cayman and the National Drug Council.
Pleasant good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Synopsis indicate isolated showers along with light to moderate southeasterly winds and seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a weak pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the northwest. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies, becoming cloudy at times with a 40% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the upper 80s. Your winds will be southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures falling to the mid to upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Low tide will be this afternoon at 9 minutes past 12. High tide this evening at 6:20. The sun will set this evening at 6:51 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:52. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning. Good morning once again. Let's take a look what's happening on our roads. Steady bit flowing traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. Traffic is busy in some sections on Crew Road and other sections steady. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic moving on moderately in both directions. And moderate flow of traffic as well on Shedden Road, Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue. Traffic looking pretty good. Coming from the West Bay four-way stop, light to moderate traffic flow. And traffic busy coming from the east and Shamrock Road and the Linford Pearson Highway. And traffic steady but flowing on Huldah Avenue, and moderate flow of traffic on Thomas Russell Way. North Sound Road, traffic is moderate in both directions. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise. Remember, 10-2 on the steering wheel. Have a good morning.
This week at Kirk Home Center, get your green thumb going with 8-inch square planter pots starting at $9.49, and keep plants blooming with a half-gallon watering can for $4.69, and grass growing with an 8-pattern sprinkler for $9.99. Cook rice perfect every time with a 16-cup rice cooker from Black & Decker for $34.99, and save on 12-volt cordless drills from Bosch for $259.99.
Kirk's Home Center. We got a great deal in store for you.
Business owners, managers, and marketers interested in learning how digital and social media marketing can help grow your business? Join Yellow Media Group Monday, May 27th at Yellow Digicon and unleash your company's digital potential. Learn from international digital marketing and social media experts, including speakers from Google and Matchcraft, plus a Fortune 500 digital marketing strategist. Complimentary registration for Yellow Media Group customers. Register now at digiconcayman.com or findyellow.com. Presented by Yellow Media Group in partnership with Google.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me now to discuss Child Month here in the Cayman Islands. I have Miss Paulinda Mendoza Williams, who's the Director of Children and Family Services. Also with us, we have Miss Dorlin Welcome, who's the Community Development Officer for Georgetown. Ladies, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. I say back because you've been here before, even though it may have been quite a while.
Good morning, Mr. Connor, and thanks for having us. Good morning to the listening public.
Good morning. Good morning, Cayman.
Okay, so the month of May is Child Month. First of all, let's give our listening and viewing audience a little historical background on the celebration of Child Month in the Cayman Islands. When did it begin, and a little history of it, Miss Paulina.
So we started celebrating Child Month 27 years ago in the Cayman Islands, and over the years, we've taken on different themes in regards to promoting our children and families and how to encourage and develop our families. My history of it is a little bit limited because it's a little bit before my time. But I must say, over the years, we have constantly done activities for the month of May, celebrated our children, their achievements. Just recently, we honored our 2 Child Month recipients at our church service, which always launches Child Month. So every year, one of the traditions is that we have a church service to kick off the start of Child Month. So I know that is something that has been entrenched in the department's tradition in celebrating Child Month. And those 2 recipients were Julia Smith. Some of you may have heard that name from being involved in Special Olympics. Mm-hmm. And the other one was a little young lady by the name of Tian Scott. Both children have they're unique in their own way. Mm-hmm. And we felt it was important to celebrate those children that had a level of uniqueness and acknowledge that being different doesn't stop you from achieving your goals and your dreams. So in regards to, you asked a question about the tradition, it's constantly been about celebrating, acknowledging, empowering, and recognizing our children.
Okay, now the cliche, and it's a true one, that our children are our future. And in treating them as our future, we need to extend certain privileges to them. We need to go the extra mile for them. Tell us what we here in the Cayman Islands are doing to ensure that our future, that our children, that future is promising, that future is a robust one for them. And like you said earlier, not only those children who fit the perfect bill, but those who are unique as well, so that we're encompassing all children in the Cayman Islands. Where are we with that effort?
So, in regards to your comment regarding our children being our future, and as you said, it's a cliche, our children are our present and our future. And in order for us to make them our future, we have to act in the present with them. And I must say that we have some present leaders over the recent days since we have started celebrating Child Month. We have seen young people with talents that's it's off the charts. Just on Saturday, we did the Circle of Love breakfast. We had orators, we had dancers, we had singers. We had, and I said to Councillor Harris, who was also attending that breakfast on Saturday, that there are budding politicians in the midst. So in regards to what is it that we need to do as a community to empower our children, raise them, nurture them, love them, care them, we need to ensure that other cliche or that other phrase that we use, it takes a village to raise a child, that we truly embrace it. But there's another African proverb that follows that one that says, when a child does not feel the warmth of the village, what does he do? He burns it down. And that's not where we want to go. We want to be able to plant the seeds that will cultivate strong, productive, positive young people who will be able to take over this country and make us proud, who will be able to take care of us when we become older persons, who will be able to pass on the torch of what it means to have a productive, civic-minded community. So again, it's not only the responsibility of the Department of Children and Family Services or our Ministry of Community Affairs or the government at large. It is the entire Cayman Islands community. And that means whether you are Caymanian by birth, Caymanian by status, permanent resident, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Everybody who is on this island has an obligation to care and safeguard our children.
Okay. Ms. Welcome, you have been working in the area of child development, community development over the years as well. Tell us about your role and your observations.
My observation is that, we, as Ms. Paulina said, that it takes a village. And what I try to do is to encourage parents, to empower parents so that they'll be able to empower their children. And, sometimes when I speak to parents and they talk about, their children bad and what have you, I say, don't say that. Over the years we've hear a lot of negative things from parents, whether they realize it or not, about, you're not going to be any good, or you're just like your father. So what I try to do in every conversation is try to encourage them. Don't say that. Use different words to empower your child. Feed it into them, because once you keep on repeating it, then your children would get it. Whatever you repeat to them, they would play out, chances are. So even in some of the like, for instance, we just had our Mother's Day event in Central Scranton. Again, that's a place where we have, generations of mothers, and sometimes fathers comes out as well. And in those places where we would encourage parents to, come back in the community and be a part of the community to reach the children who needs help.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the Child Month calendar, but Ms. Welcome just touched upon something, and before we went on the air, I was sharing with the both of you an article in the Tradewinds newspaper of the 29th of May 1967, and that was when Education Week was being celebrated in the Cayman Islands, and the article in the Tradewinds is entitled "Parents Warned Over Attitudes to Children." And in quotation, it has "government wasting money on unruly children," and that comment was attributed to Mrs. Isley Connolly, who was the acting education officer as well. And it says here, a stern criticism of the attitude of Caymanian parents was voiced at a meeting Thursday of the Cayman Parent Teachers Association meeting held during Education Week. Mrs. Isley Connolly, the acting education officer, attacked parents who were not shouldering their responsibility. She also wondered how much government money was being poured down the drain. This is a quote now, being poured down the drain each year on children who have no respect for authority, no pride in promoting a healthy image for their schools, children who will pass out of the school to take their place beside the drifters. Now, that is almost like government, whether or not government should choose winners and losers when it comes to successful children. Is that representative of the approach that we are now taking when it comes towards children?
Absolutely not. It is our obligation, again, to educate our children, whether they have unique challenges or not. Oftentimes, we tend to feel a little challenged when we have to address those behavioral issues or educational issues with our children. But at the end of the day, if we give up on them now, what do you think is going to happen to them in the future? As we said, they are our future, and if we don't address the issue in the present, how do you think they're going to perform as young adults or as adults? Funds that are generated into education, again, you're giving your children the opportunity to make life choices by having an education. Educating a nation, you are definitely expending funds into what should be a great nation if all our children are exceeding their potential or achieving their potential, whether they're academically inclined or technically inclined, because either or can't live without the next. So, wherever that child or children have special challenges, special needs, uniqueness, where they want to harness their skills and achieve, it is our obligation to ensure that we put those resources in place. And again, when Ms. Dorlin spoke about bad children, no child is born bad. They come out an empty slate. And it is us as parents, as a community, as teachers, as carers, to ensure what we write on that slate is something that's positive, that they're able to be productive citizens and, again, achieve what they set out to do. So it is important for us to ensure when we're talking with our children, talking to our children, the language that we use is encouraging, is positive. And again, I'm a parent, and for those parents out there, it is challenging sometimes because we have the internet, which has a great influence on our children. It's no longer, just TV, or you turn on the radio. They have access to the world, and the world has access to them. Yes. So it is our responsibility to be parents, to ensure that we are encouraging them. Even when they fail, use that opportunity to sit and have a conversation. Not all the time you're going to be a winner. Not everybody is a winner, but use it as, okay, how do I pull out my socks and try again? There is that old point, if you don't succeed, try again. I remember learning it as a child. I don't remember all of it now, but it is a very inspirational and motivating poem that I think parents should put up on the wall in their homes for themselves and their children as well. So again, the resources that we are expending into the community for our children, that is money well spent.
Okay, we have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Sorry, we lost that caller. We lost that caller. So let's talk about the remaining. Well, we can talk about what has taken place so far as Child Month is concerned, and the remaining dates and activities for Child Month as well. Ms. Dorlin?
Well, we just, as Ms. Pauline said again, we just celebrated the Miss Julie Hunter. That's the Circle of Love, and I mean that was an excellent program that they put on there. The children really enjoyed themselves. Upcoming, we have the foster care information session, which would be on the 14th at the Georgetown Town Hall. We also have the teen panel. Again, this is a place where the children get to express themselves, and once the question, and then you'd hear the feedback. And to tell you the truth, from some of these feedback, you can develop programs or enhance programs, because the children there, I mean, what they bring to the table is like excellent problem solving, information. Something we that sit around the table every day don't even think of, but hey, there it is. Because they know, some of them know, and sometimes it's just like to say it. And, we have people who like try to push them aside sometimes, but for me, I want to hear them. So the teen panel discussion, that is something that I'm looking forward to. We also have the youth conference, which is coming up, and then here again, it's a place where the children can express themselves, and it's about the children, so we want to hear from them. Day. Sorry.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I think we have a caller now. So let's grab that caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Barry here, Barry Solomon. I would like to call to congratulate the wonderful job this organization is doing for your panel and everybody else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just to let you know, the young lady there, Miss Scott, one of the receptions of the thing was in the newspaper this week.
The Child Month awardee.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to say she's a niece of mine, and I just want to say on behalf of the family and perhaps even her, I would like to thank you for all that you've done, you and your fellow colleagues.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
caller, for that. Thank you very much.
And it's important that we as family members also invest in our nieces, nephews, or grandchildren, or whoever, because I always believe that regardless of what people say, I try to find that little spot of good and develop it, because that might be the cornerstone one day. Moving on, we have on the 18th the Family Fun Day at the Turtle Farm, and that would be at a reduced cost of $10 for adult and $4 for children. And it's not a babysitting club, so we would encourage parents to come with their children. It's a family fun day starting at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
May I just add there in regards to the teen panel, so we're also having high school students from the Kim and Brack High School who will be participating on that panel, and the discussion that they'll be focusing on is navigating stress and anxiety during adolescence. And I think nowadays it's something that when we look at the work that the Alex Panton Foundation is doing and the discussions about bullying, these are some of the things that cause anxiety and stress in children. They do experience those things, and hearing from them is important in terms of the tools that they're using or tools that they would like to see be used in helping them deal with these situations. In regards to the youth conference, we have our keynote speaker is Kevron Reed, an inspirational young man who is doing great things academically and in the community. So he will be delivering the keynote address to our young people. And again, as Ms. Dorland said, it is important for our children to have a voice. No longer is it children should be seen and not heard. They are to be heard, and we want to encourage that.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break now. We do have one caller on hold as well. We're going to ask that caller to hang in there. Quick commercial break. When we return, we will take your call, and the conversation will continue with Ms. Paulinda Mendoza Williams and Miss Dorlin. Welcome.
Why my wife always asking if I'm in a rush when she's the one always making us late?
Might as well say, yeah, I'm in a rush and go buy the new Toyota Rush you've been talking about. Because they on sale this month. Dial teacher.
The super special spring SUV sale at Vant Motors. Save up to $4,400 with SUVs starting at only $23,500, like the 7-seater Toyota Rush. Save money, get cash back, or use the discount to upgrade features on the SUV of your choice, including the Toyota RAV4, the Fortuner, the Rush, or the Ford EcoSport. It's our super special spring SUV sale. Only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
They say cleaning your house never killed anyone, but why take chances? Spend your time doing what you love and leave the rest to Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential with 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Take back your life and get the job done right the first time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing Child Month and Child Month activities in the Cayman Islands with the Director of Children and Family Services, Ms. Paulinda Mendoza Williams. Also with us, we have Ms. Dorlin Welcome, who's the Community Development Officer for Georgetown. We're going straight to the phone lines as promised. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. This is Teresa at Janiki.
Good morning. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning,
I'm
Chief.
Very well.
Morning.
Good morning. Morning, Director. Good morning, Miss Welcome.
Good morning.
I wanted to take this opportunity to call in to extend my gratitude and appreciation to Director Mendoza Williams and her entire team for doing such an amazing job. They, in my view, and I'm sure that a lot of people will agree with me, they are truly unsung heroes. We often hear about the amount of work that they're doing when we have occasions like Child Month or like Older Persons Month, when there's a series of activities. But the reality is that this team at the Department of Children and Family Services work endlessly and tirelessly every single day of the week to help our children and to try to make our society a better one, to offer support to families, to older persons. And so today I truly wanted to publicly come onto the radio and extend my gratitude and appreciation to them for all of their hard work and all of their dedication. And to also say to their families, thank you so much for allowing them to contribute so much to our community, because I oftentimes think that the staff from the Department of Children and Family Services spends more time at work than they do at home with their own families. So to their families, I want to say thank you for sharing them with us and for giving us the opportunity to truly benefit from all that they do. I am very mindful, and I've heard the director, Ms. Williams, speak about activities. There's so much activities that they've planned for this entire month. I want to take this opportunity to also invite the public to come out and to support these activities. So far, it's been amazing the amount of talent that we've seen and the organization and the success of these events. We've had events here in Grand Cayman, in Cayman Brac, and also just on Sunday, we had an event in Little Cayman where we attended a church service and we had a fun day over there. So it's so much that is jam-packed into this month, and I invite the public to come out and to share with us and to truly enjoy every single event that's being prepared by the Department of Children and Family Services. And again, I just wanted to take this time to come onto the radio and publicly express my gratitude and appreciation on behalf of the Ministry of Community Affairs to the director and her entire team for doing an amazing job, not only for Child Month, but every single day.
Thank you very much, Chief Officer, for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Officer, for those encouraging words. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Now, Ms. Mendoza Williams, I think you have to leave us a little bit early. So about another 10 minutes, I want to give you an opportunity to cover all of the areas that you want to cover before you go, and we'll tie Ms. Dorland to the chair. She'll stay on until 9 o'clock.
So I just want to speak on the theme this year. The theme for Child Month this year is Be Strong, Be Brave, Be You. And I must say already, in terms of the activities that we have been engaged with, our children are definitely strong. They're brave and they embrace their uniqueness. In regards to life and life lessons, taking some quotes from Dr. Seuss for those of us who are familiar with Dr. Seuss. One of his phrases are, "Today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you." And I want to say to the parents listening, because the children should be in school, but are listening public, to, again, promote the children that you have in your care. Encourage them to chart their own path with your guidance, nurture, and love. It will encourage them to be truer than true to themselves, to be who they are. Being brave. Our children are exposed to a lot these days. And again, they have to put on a brave front during times of, some of them leave home without breakfast. No fault of their own, no fault of their parents, who are trying to ensure there's a roof over their head, food on their table, shoes on their feet. But again, for a lot of them, they do put on a brave front, and they take on every day with encouragement and face those challenges as true champions, because some of us knew what it was like to possibly grow up with not having certain things, and it's still a reality for some of them today. And whilst they're being brave, those things, not only physically but also emotionally, they're struggling with a lot. And again, it is us as a community, us as carers, us as educators, just concerned citizens, to reach out and lift them up to ensure that they're able to reach that full potential. Our children are strong, and when I say strong, they are strong academically, athletically, socially, creatively. We see that every day, and I was just sharing with Ms. Dorlin before we came in that the reality is the majority of our children are true champions. We tend to, in our department, see those that experience life's difficulties, but they're a handful. The reality is that it's not the majority of children. The majority of our children are succeeding. So I just want to say to the public, be that encourager, be that nurturer, be that carer that will promote productive and positive citizens.
Okay, we have one caller. Let's grab that caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Good morning to Miss Mendoza-Williams. Good morning to Miss Welcome. This is Johan Moxham.
Good morning, Johan.
Guys, I just want to start off by saying if nobody's ever told you in the general public, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to you, your team, your staff, because what you guys do as social workers and community workers, it's incredible, and I don't know how you guys in that profession don't suffer from burnout, because there's no way in the world that you can't take some of these issues home with you. I think you're superhuman if you are able to separate yourselves from the things that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, which is work, and then go home and put on a brave face. So you guys, teachers, nurses, anybody in the medical profession, you guys are the true champions and deserve as much accolades and compensation as possible, because you guys are the glue that kind of keeps the community together. Having said that, this is not meant to be awkward or political, but because just listening to you guys this morning and seeing the work that you've done over the years, I know both of you, and I think both of you are champions of people, and you guys, we've had enough conversations where I can say you guys have helped me grow a conscience just watching you guys do your thing. But I just wanted to ask, does your department and the entire community services ministry have sufficient resources, personnel, funds in order to give you the tools to help the people that you're trying to help in order to improve their situation, so that the volume of persons you're assisting decreases year on year? Because it feels like when you read the media and the reports sometimes, it's like more and more people coming onto these programs and using your services. But and if you can't answer because of the political reasons, I completely understand. But do you have sufficient behavioral specialists? Do you have enough people diagnosing, learning disabilities? Is there any sort of formal coordination between your departments and education so that we're able to figure out who really needs the help from early? So on and so forth. And the third question is, how can regular Joes like me help the process? I know,
and corporate citizens as well.
Yeah. Well, I think corporate citizens are playing their role. So service clubs play their role. I'll give you a story. It wasn't until I'm in Lyons, and it wasn't until I went on a couple of the site screening things that you realize there were kids that were old or getting older, but they were perhaps giving trouble because they couldn't see the blackboard. But nobody, and we do the site screening thing, but nobody ever made the connection between the behavioral issue of acting out by virtue of the fact that the kid can't see what's up on the board. So it's those little things that I know that we've done, but I just want to know how does Cayman help you? How do I help you? How do we help you? Because just going back to your message, it takes a village. Keep up the outstanding work, and I know this thing is far bigger than Child's Month. You guys live it, you guys breathe it. I've seen it, and again, just closing off by saying thank you to you and your teams for everything that you guys do, because it is a thankless job, and the only time people want to talk about it is when something goes wrong. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moxham, for that. Ms. Paulina?
Thanks, Johan, for those encouraging words. We appreciate it. To address your three queries, in regards to resources, through our Ministry of Community Affairs, I must say again, thanks to our Chief Officer and the ministry team in supporting the department as we continue to develop and enhance our services. When it comes to money and funds, we all know that there is no endless river for dollars and cents, but with the creativity and the support and advocacy from our chief officer and the ministry as we prepare for our new budget come in 2020, we are certainly looking at increasing funds to be able to hire new persons. within the various specialized areas, also getting funds to be able to develop further programs along the lines of a more preventative approach. I think over the years we have been very reactive rather than being proactive. And one of the things that the department is moving towards is being more preventative. So it's developing programs that will help persons, families, parents, children from coming in for issues of neglect, domestic violence. Whilst needs assessment does not fall under DCFS, it is our sister agency also under the same ministry. And again, if you can't meet persons' basic needs, it's going to be difficult for us to be able to address those social, emotional issues. So again, as collaboration is important, also speaking in regards to education, it is a collaborative effort with a number of players at the table, not only needs assessment, DCFS, but we're looking at, of course, education, HSA. It is a holistic approach in addressing the concerns and the issues that face our children and families. In regards to volunteering, I definitely will encourage persons in whatever way to come out, and we have our older persons residential facilities. You can sign up to come in and do arts and craft with our older persons, read, sing. Again, for older persons within the community, transportation is always an issue. Again, we're willing to coordinate if you want to come out and give an older person a ride to the supermarket to pick up groceries. We can have you contact community development officers. We have Ms. Dorlin here with me, who is the Georgetown Community Development Officer. So it's a number of ways. We have our foster parent information session that's coming up tomorrow at the Georgetown Hall, 5:30 to 7. Again, this is an opportunity for persons, if you're interested in learning more about what it takes to be a foster parent, come on out and hear what we're saying, ask questions. One of the things that I think a lot of people are not aware of, when you think of fostering, people think that it's oftentimes you're going to have a child in your home for a long period of time. And when people think that way, it creates, lots of questions. Well, can I do it? Can I keep a child for X amount? We need emergency placement. So there are times when we need an emergency placement for 24 hours a week, a day, so various aspects of what it means to foster.
And can you repeat that date and venue again?
It's Tuesday the 14th, which is tomorrow. And it's the foster care information session. It's at Georgetown Town Hall, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. So persons are encouraged to come out and hear a bit more about what that program is about. To be a foster parent, you just need to be resident in the Cayman Islands, and we go through a rigorous screening in regards to persons who are interested in signing up as foster parents.
So even those persons who are walking pets for points for residency, they can foster a child too, and that could give them some points too, right? No, because you don't need to comment on that. That's just my comment. We're going to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Rotaract Blue, in support of the Cayman Special Needs Community, present the 11th Annual Open Arms Gala, The Great Gatsby. Saturday, May 25th at Ristorante Papagayo. Cocktails begin at 6 p.m. 3-course dinner, award ceremony, silent auction at 7 p.m. Attire is Gatsby chic. Your ticket is only $100 per person. Your table only $1,500. Tickets available online at eventpro.ky or email president.rotaractblue@gmail.com. The Open Arms program promotes care, understanding, and non-discrimination for disabled persons. The Great Gatsby by Rotaract Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
I remember playing at 7 Mile Beach as a boy, eating mango by the sea, learning how to snorkel. My mother, she worked so hard to provide for our family so that we could have those moments. Seeing her age has been tough. That strong, capable woman, now in need of daily support, it's my time to be strong for her.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of the careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Sounds of Expressions, a Toastmasters event on May 29th at 6 p.m. at the Georgetown Town Hall.
An evening of intimate poetry and live music displayed by our Toastmasters and local musicians.
Admission only $10. All proceeds go towards our youth leadership program.
Come on down and support our youth as it promises to be a night of captivating entertainment.
Sounds of Expressions.
Tickets available at Sings Road Shop, a Toastmasters fundraising event proudly sponsored by Radio Cayman,
Star 92.7, Audio Wave,
The Performance Lab,
FunFet, Take On Publishing, and Sings Roti Shop.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have about 10 minutes left in this segment of the show, and the director has to leave us a little bit early, so we're going to give her an opportunity again for her to finalize her comments, and we will have Miss Welcome with us for the remainder until 9 o'clock. Miss Paulinda.
Yes, just want to basically say a sincere thanks to our team down at DCFS, our Child Month Committee, and the chairperson, Ms. Tiffany Miles, for putting together this extensive month of activities, along with our partner agencies who are also involved with us this year. Want to say thank you to the many sponsors and donators who have supported us through the years with Child Month. Special thanks to the successful Circle of Love Women's Ministry breakfast that took place on Saturday. It was well attended, and the children did a phenomenal job at that. So again, just want to big up my staff down at DCFS. Thanks, guys. Without you, this would not be possible. Thanks to our ministry, our chief officer, for always supporting us during Child Month and throughout the year. Our minister and also Councillor Harris for definitely being there and being present during the month of May. Also want to take this opportunity to say to the listening public, please come out to these activities with your children. It's informative, enjoyable. It's spending time with your children, quality time with your children. I would also like to send a special invitation out to our members of the Legislative Assembly. Please come out and attend some of these events. Again, our children seeing our leaders also shows that we care, we are supportive, we are encouraging, and it shows also a level of mentorship, because I'm sure a lot of them look up to our members of the Legislative Assembly, and being there and having a conversation definitely means a lot to our children.
I'm going to ask your indulgence. We have one more caller that has come in, so at this rate, you won't get out of here in time. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Lucy, and good morning to the panel of lovely young ladies there that I admire them because they're doing such a good job.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I recently, after I retired, I started going and visiting, people up in the Pines and places like that, and sick people, and, taking my guitar, singing and playing and all this kind of stuff with them. And I'll tell you, the joy that I get from that is just incredible. I mean, it's, especially when you've known these people for some time and you haven't seen them for so long, and you go in there and you start talking to them. It takes you back to the good old days when, everything was beautiful. But I just wanted to say that because you guys are dealing with children and young people, I would like the public to know that this new telephone thing that's coming out now, the new system, the G5 or 5G, whatever it is, that they talk about, it's going to be rapid. Everything's going to happen like in a snap of a finger. But the radiation system in that thing is so bad. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go online and you can find it, but don't listen to the companies who are producing it because they're not gonna tell you. But I see a lot of these children, the parents take these children out and they're talking, sometimes they call, the grandmother call them, they have a birthday or something like that, and they put the phone on by the air and the little child is running around with the phone on the air for 4 or 5 minutes. Not good. So, especially now with this new G5 thing, I would suggest that you do your own investigation, but it's not good. And I just want people out there to know that be careful with that because I won't be using it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. Miss Dorland, we still have about 5 minutes left. Your activities as a community development officer takes you far and near, takes you near to people as well. So if you get an opportunity to talk about your experiences, we would welcome that as well. But I know you want to cover all of the other remaining activities as far as Child Month is concerned as well.
Yes, I do. And one of the things I want to do also to Mr. Moxham and others out there, what I love to do is to support programs like the Boys to Men, Cadet Corps, and Boy Scout, and Miss Sylvia as well. Sylvia Wilkes. They invest in our children. And I always try to support them in any way I can, especially Mr. Christopher Murray, at the John Gray High School there with the Boys to Men program. Right now we're seeing where we need the younger boys to start something for the younger boys. I don't like to just start a program for the sake of a program, having a program. It must be meaningful. It must be reaching the children and doing what it's supposed to be doing. And I take my hat off to Mr. Murray over there. Again, we have foster parents. They could be Mr. Moxham, you could be a foster parent, or anybody else who would love to do that. I encourage you to. Again, you're commending us about work. I don't work. I turn in my TRS, but I do not work. This is something I really enjoy doing. And once you enjoy doing, whatever you enjoy doing, it don't appears to be work for me. So I just live. The Community Fund Day is coming up as well, and that would be on the 25th, the Georgetown Community Fund Day. And it's just not a fun day to run up and down. Yes. We always bring back like somebody from the grassroots level, who has been successful, and have them speak to the children where they're coming from and to motivate them. And it also they get to socialize playing volleyball as a team, basketball, and different games like that to, so they can socialize. Because we realize that even when we go to dinner sometimes, everybody's on their phone, not talking and so forth. So we want to encourage parents and children to come out, play volleyball together, socialize, and all these are fun events. I also want to touch on the International Cook-Off.
Okay.
At the Cayman Academy. That would be on Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. Again, that's in partnership with the National Youth Culinary Program. Jamo again, another young man. Anytime you could support any program that he's involved in, go right ahead, support it. Jamo's doing an excellent job out there.
Yeah, he's very passionate about
yes,
about
exactly.
It
comes from the heart. You could tell that it comes from the heart, It's not just a paycheck. This is a heart condition here. On the 22nd, Talk Early, Talk Often. That's another parenting session by the Family Resource Center. And that'll be 6 p.m. to 7:30. So parents, that's another way that you can get information and how to reach out to your children. Sometimes they're silent, they're not saying anything, and at times when you go to these sessions, they generate questions that you can get solutions for.
Okay. Now, we've reached the top of the hour at 9 o'clock. I don't believe that our additional guests are here yet. If they do come, what we're going to do, we're going to extend Miss Welcome's time until 9:15 and anyway, to give her an opportunity to cover all of the rest. So we're going to take a break. Headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, the conversation with Miss Dorlin Welcome, the Community Development Officer for Georgetown, will continue.
Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Cayman's leaders are pleased after the United Kingdom government opts not to support several controversial recommendations published in the Foreign Affairs Committee's report, Global Britain and the British Overseas Territories, back in February. The Premier describes their response as, quote, a clear-headed restatement of the fundamental principle of self-government that underpins the relationship between Cayman and the United Kingdom. Swedish prosecutors have reopened an investigation into a rape allegation made against WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange in 2010. The inquiry has been revived at the request of the alleged victim's lawyer. Assange, who denies the charges, has avoided extradition to Sweden for 7 years after seeking refuge at the Ecuadorian embassy in London in 2012. He was evicted last month and sentenced to 50 weeks in jail for breaching his bail conditions. And 2 Saudi oil tankers were the targets of a, quote, sabotage attack off the coast of the United Arab Emirates on Sunday, according to Saudi Arabia's energy minister. He says the incident in the Gulf just outside the Strait of Hormuz caused, quote, significant damage to the ships. The UAE said 4 ships were targeted, but there were no casualties. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have Ms. Dorlin Welcome, who's the Community Development Officer for Georgetown. We had the pleasure of having the Director of Children and Family Services, Ms. Paulinda Mendoza Williams, with us. She had to leave, so Ms. Welcome is going to continue talking about the full schedule for the month of May, Child Month, being celebrated here in the Cayman Islands. Ms. Welcome.
To continue with the schedule, on the 24th of May, Trivia Games Night in West Bay at the Sir John A. Cumber School, 6 p.m. to 9:30. Again, this is a great event for the family. There'll be like painting, T-shirt competition, music. They'll be able to lip sync and, different things just to have fun. This is a time where they can let down their hair and have fun in a wholesome environment. On the 26th, we have the Wellness Cook-Off demo, and that's at the Family Life Center, 10 to 2. Again, Mr. Jamo involved in that, so it's going to be a great event. I just admire that young man all the time, the way he interacts with our young people. Community Fun Day at the Niels Godfrey Park. Inviting everybody to come out to that as well.
Okay.
Real life.
The Niels Golfer Park is located where?
In the Washington Boulevard area, right next to the Power Faith Church on Greenwood Drive. Can't miss it. Just turn on right on Greenwood Drive and come to the very end. So we have a lot of activities out there for the children as well. And parents. We want the parents to come out and interact with the children. We have the Real Life Superhero Movie Night at Camana Bay, 6 to 9:30 p.m. Teen Disco Youth Center. This one is in Cayman Brack. Miss Anna Rose, always with the heat up over
Anna
there.
Scott.
That'll be 6 to 10 p.m. So that's the Teen Disco Youth Center. Okay, at the Youth Center. On the 26th, Sunday the 26th, we have the SDA, that's a Seventh-day Adventist Fun Day. Again, this is a fun event for the family to come out and enjoy. Snuggle and Read. Mm-hmm. On the 28th, we have Snuggle and Read. That's at the Prospect Primary School. Parents, children, we normally invite them to come out in their pajamas, and we turn down the light, and there's a lot of activities with probably some hot chocolate and chocolate chip cookies.
And this is for all of the classes?
This is for all of the classes, 6:30 to 9 p.m. That's on Tuesday the 28th. So Snuggle and Read, okay? At the Prospect Primary School. Again, on Thursday the 30th, Cayman Academy, they're having their Snuggle and Read. So parents, again, if you did not make it to the 28th, you can make it to the one on the 30th. So that's at Cayman Academy, 6 to 8 p.m. Friday, the 31st, we have the Trivia Game Night at the Georgetown Town Hall. So again, we're encouraging children from the youth groups, come on over, let's have fun. Same event as the others. We have games that you can play. We have building exercises, team building exercises, T-shirt competition, and I've seen some great artwork in East End and in Northside from a young man in East End. I also encourage his aunt to, pursue his career in that field. And we had others there. And normally it's not just a T-shirt that you paint. What you have to do is to paint it surround the theme, which is be strong, be brave, be you. We don't want them to be think of themselves as a superhero, some superhero. We want them to be themselves. So that's what we're encouraging here. We want them to be strong, be brave, and to be themselves. Yep. So Trivia Games Night, we want to encourage you to please come out. Georgetown Town Hall, 6 to 9:30 p.m. on the 31st. And over in June, we have the Cupcake War at the Ritz-Carlton. No, we're not pelting cupcakes at each other. It's a competition where they bake and they set up their stand. And then they have the judges who will taste and look at the presentation. And then we have a winner from that. And that's 10 to 12 at the Ritz-Carlton. And Jamo, again, can talk more on that. I'm pretty sure he'll be on the air or somewhere soon talking about promoting Cupcake Wars. And just want to encourage parents to, continue to invest in your children. If they're not doing well, talk to them, find out why they're not doing well, and encourage uncle, aunts, if you can help in any way, to inspire a nephew or a niece. Do so, because they need us and we need them.
Okay, very, very quickly, I think we have about another 7 minutes or so. Over the years, you have been involved in community development, visiting homes, dealing with children. You mentioned earlier, I think this was off air, about some of the actions that you've taken personally, like a child who was a truant who was skipping school, and some of the solutions that you apply to problems. But before we go there, we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Sir OC and your panel there.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. As we are, talking about, family, children, and so on. From observation, it seems to me that we all know that when we we say get a car or refrigerator or whatever, all those things come with a manual, and I believe that probably most of us, who have children, we are not consulting the manual for life, which is the Bible. We seem to put a lot of emphasis on children advancement in education, which that is good. With children, they should have a place to live. They should have clothes and food and all of that. Mothers and fathers and so on. But I think most of us are drifting away from that manual which God gives, and He should know better. A lot of children, they are not being raised with parents who will read the Bible to them, who will pray with them, who will even take them to church. And for you, OC, I know you're old enough. When you're growing up, your parents either send you to Sunday school or they took you to Sunday school.
Well, they actually sent me to on Saturdays. I had to go to Sabbath school, Seventh-day Adventist, and on Sundays I went to the Church of God. So they made sure that I didn't have a free day at all.
And so even if they weren't Christians, most of the older Caymanians, they have biblical principles, even if they are not Christians. And so I think we need to put a lot of emphasis in children being taught at home and at school about the biblical principles, because God is the creator. He created all of us, and He should know better. So I just want to say that to encourage us.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Ms. Dorland, we have about 3 or 4 minutes left, but you related, one story about a young man who was skipping school, and what you did in terms of taking him to breakfast, taking him to Burger King. Some people that knew what you did questioned, you rewarding him by taking him to breakfast, but you didn't see it that way at all.
I didn't see it that way. I saw an opportunity to invest in that child. And if we all see things that way, Cayman would be a better place, and the world would be a better world. People like, you taking him for breakfast? He skipped classes, he rude to the children. That was my time to sit down and talk to him with his friend at the time, and to talk to both of them about life and the consequences of not staying in class and getting a good education now, and how it affect them later in life, because I'm seeing it every day. And it's expensive to try to get back that time, or to get your GED or what have you. So I always encourage them to stay in school, and one of the things I like to do is to go find out where they're living, find out how they're living, and to see how I can help, and to bring help to the family. So it's not just a one-off, seeing the person, hearing that, this problem. I want to find out what is the root of the problem. From if we don't get rid of the root, it would always be there. So that's what I invest in.
Well, many of our callers have congratulated you, Miss Paulinda, as well as the department and the ministry for the work that you do. We know it is unending because we continue to have children coming through the system, growing up. So, when you finish with one group, there's another one there. So it's an ongoing process. But certainly, I believe that you get much better at doing your job, at diagnosing situations and solving those problems based on the experience that you have. So again, on behalf of the people of the Cayman Islands, want to thank you and your colleagues for the job, sometimes seen as a thankless job that you're doing as well. Folks, please stay tuned. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we return, we will be talking with representatives from the Family Resource Center as well.
They say cleaning your house never killed anyone, but why take chances? Spend your time doing what you love and leave the rest to Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential with 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Take back your life and get the job done right the first time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
It is amazing to see my daughter grow up and make a difference in the world, but it is also completely terrifying to worry about her when she goes out with her friends. It is my job as a father to make sure she makes smart decisions and is safe as a young woman. So, when my daughter needs quality care, I take her to CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of the careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio, if only for a short period of time, this morning, Ms. Charmaine Miller, who is the program coordinator for the Family Resource Center. And we're going to be talking about some of the workshops that are being conducted by the Family Resource Center. Ms. Miller, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. And I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather, but again, we want to at least thank you for making the effort to be here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Okay.
So pretty much what we wanted to talk about today, we're rolling out a series of presentations and workshops throughout the month of May to help equip families that are having parenting, that may be experiencing some parenting challenges with their children. And I wanted to have an opportunity to talk about these just because I feel that as the Family Resource Center, we're very privileged to be able to provide these services free to our community, and therefore the opportunity is out there for our families to, take up these offers and make sure that they are putting themselves in a better position for success. So as of this week, actually, we have a workshop called Parenting Ages and Stages, which is a 6-week workshop. It begins on Thursdays. It's a lunchtime workshop. It begins this Thursday, May 16th, and it's an opportunity to get a better understanding of what's considered normal development and what appropriate expectations you should have based on your child's developmental stage, and what are some red flags that you should be paying attention to should you feel that your child's behavior is a little bit out of whack, right? And you're finding it really hard to parent that child. And so the way in which the workshop is broken down into, parents are gonna have an opportunity to get a better understanding of what is developmentally appropriate, what is not, and then get into some practical tools and strategies of what they can do to best support their child. So we found a lot of success with doing this. The last cohort, we had about 10 parents that successfully completed the workshop, and that was wonderful. And so we want to go ahead and do it again, because based on our experience, what we found is parents find it really hard. Their level of expectation towards their child sometimes can be quite inappropriate, or sometimes there's a lot of cuddling and cradling of their child without really giving them more opportunities to be more independent. And so this time around, we want to focus primarily on kids between the ages of 6 to 9, so that we can delve in more and just get more specific into what are some behaviors that are appropriate, what are some behaviors that are not, and what you can do to help your child. So a lot of the parenting issues that we see, a lot of the times it's around parents not having appropriate expectations. And so for this workshop, we're really focusing on what those expectations are and how we can help support our child.
And based on past responses, what is the uptake to these workshops?
I mean, they've been really positive. I found it was a pilot that we did last year, and generally we have evening programs, right? Okay. So from Monday to Thursday, my staff is working very hard, and we're delivering programs from 5 to sometimes 8 o'clock at night. So what we wanted to do is, let's see how, what about lunchtime hours? How would that work for our families? And we were really surprised to see that the uptake was quite positive. It was easy for families to just drop in for a 1 hour session where lunch was already provided, and they didn't have to worry about childcare because their kiddos are already at school, right? So the uptake has been really good. And what we do is we alternate between workshops. We also have, we've got this one, Parenting Ages and Stages. We have a new one that I'll talk about shortly called Digital Parenting, just because that's a new trend right now, how to parent your digital child. And so we found a lot of positive feedback from our parents. It's just quite convenient for them. Yeah.
Now, earlier in the show, I shared with our previous guests an article from the Trade Winds newspaper where a government educator at the time made a statement about government wasting money on unruly children. And I say that to say that the Parent Teachers Association in the schools are certainly involved in child development, child issues as well. Is there any link, for instance, when a parent, for instance, goes to a reporting session for their children, and the teacher indicates that there may be some behavioral problems in terms of disruption, class disruption, attentiveness, and things of that nature? Will there be any effort for the Family Resource Center to link up? We know in this day and age that there are issues in terms of privacy and personal information, confidentiality. Right? How can, say, for instance, a teacher who's experiencing an unruly child, rather than sending that child off to some other institution or something like that, to link up and say, why don't I contact the Family Resource Center? Yeah. Here are these workshops that are being given, for parenting purposes. How can we link up? Can we? Are you looking to create those sorts of networking?
Yeah, it's already created, to be honest.
Okay,
and
good,
that's a great
Let's
question.
Hear about it.
Thanks for asking. What's generally done, teachers can work in 2 different ways. So with the consent of the parent, a referral can be sent to the Family Resource Center electronically that pretty much just speaks to whatever issues or behavioral issues the child is experiencing, right? We would then contact the parent. Again, consent is very important, right? Yes. That's signed already. We'd contact the parent and say, we've received this referral. We're more than happy to go ahead with meeting with you to get a better understanding of what the issues are and developing a service plan for you, right? Now, within our experience, we've also found that there seems to be a breakdown sometimes in us getting a referral and the family coming, right? And especially for those families that are vulnerable and have other priorities and have other risk factors, right, that are sometimes impeding them from coming to the Family Resource Center. So sometimes we tackle this differently. What we've started now is actually going into the schools with the referrals from the teachers, because if parents can't come to FRC, then we would go to the school and work particularly with that child that's experiencing those issues. Now, a lot of the work that we would do is school related, right? So we would complete an assessment that pretty much speaks to all the behavioral issues issues that this child is experiencing at school. And all that information is gathered through a two to three session interview that we would do with the teacher. And the teacher gives us all this information. We populate that. We develop a problem-solving plan pretty much. And based on that, we begin building rapport with the child and start working with the child independent of the other adults in their lives. So that really helps us and helps the child primarily, because sometimes, unfortunately, the child doesn't choose, while they might need or desire the help, unfortunately, that makes it really hard for them at times. So we work in conjunction with the school teachers or the school counselors to help develop a better treatment plan so that these children can be served and they're not falling through the cracks because parents, unfortunately, are not in the best position to come forward. So we've had, that's something that's started this year, and we've had much success with it. The kids are very receptive. We'd have comments, from our whenever the kids are being pulled out to participate in the sessions with us. We hope that one day, every time you come, they're so receptive to come and see you, right? I was waiting for that one day where they'll be like, oh, I don't want to go see Miss Charmaine, but it doesn't happen, right? Because they're very keen. The conversations that we're having are very positive. They're problem-solving focused. They're putting us in a position of how we can be more proactive and less reactive. Because a lot of the work that's being done, I think whenever we talk about behavioral management, there's a lot of research that's now, to a certain extent, being outdated on the way in which we're parenting our children. The whole timeout, the whole loss of privilege and just grounding, those are strategies that in the past have worked. But in our experience with parents, they are short-term solutions, right? So we are now in the process of delivering a service where we're inviting the child to the table and developing a more collaborative approach to how we can address some solutions. And I heard your other the DCFS worker talking about how she had an opportunity to talk to the child to get a better understanding of what was getting in the way. Well, that's the same approach that we use, right? Just in a more clinical setting, we have an opportunity to hear from the child while the parent is still involved in that process many times, and then hear from the parent. And the kids are really receptive to it. They'll be like, it's my turn to talk now, and vice versa. So it's a great opportunity of building healthier relationships. It's not easy, but it's definitely something that I think we're in the right direction.
Okay.
The digital parenting workshop that I wanted to speak about starts in June. So it's a 4-week workshop, and parenting in this day and age, we're living in a very digital era, right? A lot of the issues or themes that we come across in working with our parents one-on-one, or even within, groups like Parenting Ages and Stages, is the use of devices, of electronic devices. Parents are really having a hard time with how to monitor those devices. And so we thought it'd be best to develop a workshop that pretty much spoke to what is appropriate in terms of length of time that your child should be on those devices, and what is not, and how can you develop a healthier relationship with technology, right? How can you become a more tech-wise family as opposed to a tech-troubled family where technology has pretty much consumed your day-to-day life, right? And over the weekends, we use it as the other parent a lot of the times, right? And so we are very understanding of that, but there's so many different things that just in the development of this workshop, we're learning ourselves of what, we can do with our kiddos and using them as guinea pigs to a certain extent. So it's going to be very informative. It's our newest workshop, and I'm really, encouraging as many parents as possible. There's no age limitation to this, because I don't know if you noticed, but 2-year-olds are having their own iPads sometimes.
Exactly.
Nowadays.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of practical tips that parents are going to be exposed to, and a lot of, aha moments for them themselves. So I'm really looking forward. That's another lunchtime group, and we hope to take that into the district. It is happening. We've partnered with the Department of Children and Family Services, and we're working in the Eastern District now. Every other Monday evenings, we're there from, I think the session starts at 7 p.m. In the East End United Church Hall. So we were there too, and within those sessions, we're going to be embedding the use of technology. So for anyone that's interested in participating in any of our upcoming workshops, they're more than welcome to access us online through our government website, www.frc.gov.ky, or give us a call at 949-0006.
Okay. I want to thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
and I know that you're feeling under the weather, and
don't worry
we don't want to put you through too much stress with that. But again,
No,
want to thank you very much. And again, thank you for the excellent job that you're doing, that your unit is doing as well, and the proactive approach
thank you so
that
much.
you're taking rather than being reactive. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return for the next half an hour, we're going to have open line where you can call in. If you don't call in, I have lots more to talk about as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore,
Road Rack Blue, in support of the Cayman Special Needs Community, present the 11th Annual Open Arms Gala, The Great Gatsby. Saturday, May 25th at Ristorante Papagayo. Cocktails begin at 6 p.m. 3-course dinner, award ceremony, silent auction at 7 p.m. Attire is Gatsby chic. Your ticket is only $100 per person. Your table only $1,500. Tickets available online at eventpro.ky or email president.rotarackblue@gmail.com. The Open Arms Program promotes care, understanding, and non-discrimination for disabled persons. The Great Gatsby by Road Rack Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
Why my wife always asking if I'm in a rush when she's the one always making us late?
Might as well say, yeah, I'm in a rush and go buy the new Toyota Rush you've been talking about. Cause they on sale this month. Dial teacher.
The super special spring SUV sale at Vant Motors. Save up to $4,400 with SUVs starting at only $23,500, like the 7-seater Toyota Rush. Save money, get cash back, or use the discount to upgrade features on the SUV of your choice, including the Toyota RAV4, the Fortuner, the Rush, or the Ford EcoSport. It's our super special spring SUV sale. Only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
shipping shore to shore,
Road Rack Blue, in support of the Cayman Special Needs Community, present the 11th Annual Open Arms Gala, The Great Gatsby. Saturday, May 25th at Ristorante Papagayo. Cocktails begin at 6 p.m. 3-course dinner, award ceremony, silent auction at 7 p.m. Attire is Gatsby chic. Your ticket is only $100 per person. Your table only $1,500. Tickets available online at eventpro.ky or email president.rotarackblue@gmail.com. The Open Arms Program promotes care, understanding, and non-discrimination for disabled persons. The Great Gatsby by Road Rack Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have no guests in the studio now, so we're going to have open line for the remainder of the show. Earlier, I shared with you an article from the Royal Gazette in relation to the UK's government response to the Foreign Affairs Committee's recommendation in relation to belongership and other issues. And I will now share with you, even though we have shared it here on Radio Cayman, and the news segment of the show, Cayman's response as well. And the press release is entitled Premier Welcomes UK Government's Response to Foreign Affairs Committee Report. The press release goes on to read, the United Kingdom government has published its response to the Foreign Affairs Committee's report, Global Britain and the British Overseas Territories. Premier Honourable Alden McLaughlin had heavily criticised the committee's report when it was published in February. The committee's recommendations on registers of beneficial ownership, same-sex marriage, and giving all resident UK citizens the right to vote and hold office were described by the Premier as a shameless and shameful attempt to reproduce neocolonialism. The Premier has welcomed the official UK government's response as, quote, a clear-headed restatement of the fundamental principles of self-government that underpins the relationship between Cayman and the United Kingdom, close of quote. On the issue of registers of beneficial ownership, the UK government's response reaffirms the existing understanding of the consultative process to be followed and resists any acceleration of the timetable in advance of the end of 2023. On same-sex marriage, the UK government notes the ongoing legal action in Cayman, but makes clear that the issue should be one for the territories to decide and legislate on. The response confirms that, quote, we have no plans to introduce an order in council on this issue, close of quote. On the critical issue of voting rights, again, the response recognizes the fact that immigration decisions are primarily a matter for overseas territories' governments and makes clear that there is no intention to interfere with locally determined franchise and representational arrangements. I said when the committee's report was released that these were only recommendations, and that we needed to wait for the UK government's official response, Mr. McLaughlin said. I am pleased that the UK has clearly listened to the representations that I and other overseas territory leaders have made. In the 21st century, there can be no justification for people 5,000 miles away, most of whom have never ever visited these islands, thinking they know better than we do how we should run our own affairs, he said. The UK government's response thoroughly rejects that idea, and I am sure it will be welcome across the overseas territories. While we in the Cayman Islands and others in the overseas territories will continue to resist the UK's attempt to impose public registers upon us in the absence of a global standard, it is positive that the UK government has pushed back on any suggestions that the current timetable should be accelerated, he said. I would like to thank the governor for the assistance he has provided in representing the views of Cayman back to the United Kingdom government, and to ensure that those making the decisions were aware of the grave concern we felt about the committee's recommendations. The UK government's response underlines their commitment to developing a positive and constructive relationship with overseas territories, Mr. McLaughlin said. That commitment has been seen to in the recent talks over the potential constitutional changes that we would like to put in place in order to clarify our relationship. Those negotiations are nearing a conclusion, and I hope to be able to report back to the House and to the country shortly on what has been agreed. So that's the entire release made by the Premier, and I would just add to say that we here, the public, look forward to getting those final results from the UK government as far as the constitutional negotiations are concerned, what has been agreed to, what they reject. But we would hope that they would now see the light and realize, based on actions that have been taken by the UK Foreign Affairs Committee, that we need to ensure that we are protected for any future potential overreach by UK parliamentarians in the affairs of the overseas territories, and in particular in Cayman. But this response that we have received does not mean that we, the people of the Cayman Islands, including our legislators, should rest on our laurels. We need to continue to push for the right of self-determination. We need to continue to alert the Decolonization Committee of our views on what is happening in the overseas territories and what is being dished out to us by some UK parliamentarians. One of the things is that the UK is now embroiled in the whole Brexit issue. So, to a certain extent, other issues are being deflected. That does not mean that it may not be renewed. No one knows what the next iteration of a UK government will be like. We have seen the backlash from the whole Brexit negotiations, where in local elections in the United Kingdom, the two major parties, the Labour Party and the Tories, have suffered greatly in local elections. On the 23rd of this month, there will be elections for members of the European Parliament, so we will wait and see exactly what transpires from that, how much more damage may be done to those parties, but we do not know what the next iteration of a UK government will be and what other pressures may come from them. So we still have to ensure that we continue on with the battle for us to have more control of the affairs of this country. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, and I hope you're the same. O.C., I talking about this, all this beneficial ownership and stuff like that. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the UK have it, do they?
Well, they have a certain element of it, and we saw in the newspapers quite recently that the institution that houses their information and the systems that they have in place are not necessarily that robust, and they have been hacked into, and people's personal information, has been stolen. So certainly what they have is not something that we would want to emulate here in the Cayman Islands.
Well, you see, this is it. I mean, the UK comes and they want to impose all of these policies, the directives on the overseas territory, especially those ones that are doing well financially, because it's always been their intention to destroy Cayman's financial status. And one thing I must say, with a great sense of pride, is that I love the heavy-handed way the Premier stood up to them when that committee came out with their rubbish just the other day. I think the Premier did a wonderful job and clearly articulated Cayman's position with regards to their recommendation. O.C., I have always been a proponent of the fact that if I can say to O.C., the correct way to walk is walking on the left-hand side of the road. How am I going to tell you that that's the correct way to walk, but every time I walk on the right-hand side of the road? So England has always had this thing where they want to tell you what to do, but they don't want to do what they're telling you to do. And I think that I have to also go back now and reflect back at what Mr. Edward Miller has been saying for several years, and that is we have to set a date and mature ourselves towards self-determination. Because we're not at in our infancy state. We're very much, grown up, and we need to look at it in a matured sense that we need to determine our own way, our own governance, and not sitting there thinking that, well, boy, if you're pulling me from Britain, what's going to happen, and this, that, and the other. The people in up there didn't hesitate to pull out the Brexit deal, right?
Yes.
So why are we going to sit here wondering? We need to mature ourselves. We've got competent leaders here in Cayman, competent people that is able to help to determine our future and to carve our future out for us for future generations to come. Because we could wake up tomorrow morning and good old mother country could have us in a position where we could lose investors in a matter of hours.
Precisely.
It's all it is, people think that these people got to come down and go to the bank. Come down and go to which bank? Come down and go to the bank. You sit by a computer and with the touch of a button, it's gone.
So true.
So we need to start thinking and start to mature ourselves and stop the self-centered way of thinking. Oh, well, boy, I don't like this one and I don't like that one. Let's look at the person for what they're worth and what they're able to contribute. So I think it's time to look that direction. Also, I want to say thanks for your time.
Okay, and before you go, caller, also I want to point out that in the area of same-sex marriages, I had the opportunity recently to talk to a few UK parliamentarians, and while those conversations may not be representative of the entire UK Parliament and their individual members' thinking, the whole issue of same-sex marriages and imposing legislation on the overseas territories, many of them feel that is something for the overseas territories to decide themselves, because there are cultural and moral issues that are in the overseas territories that the UK government really has no reason to meddle in, while at the same time the UK government needs to ensure that everyone is treated fairly, and we have a Bill of Rights that seeks to ensure that they don't feel that from a personal viewpoint that is something that should be imposed by UK parliamentarians. Now, at the same time, whatever the ruling comes from the Court of Appeals, or if it goes to the Privy Council, I think what people in the Cayman Islands have to realize is that we cannot have a divide in our country where we treat some human beings one way and we treat other human beings the other way. There has to be equal treatment for all.
Yeah, as it relates to equal treatment for all, in many respects, I am for that. But as it relates to the same-sex unions, I'm a firm believer in the Bible, and the Bible talks about Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. So I don't support that, but I believe that there is certain elements of it that of treatment that should be equal treatment for all.
Yes.
Yes. But I like I said, and I want to reiterate, I think that we need to start thinking in the direction of Mr. Miller when he says set a date and mature ourselves towards our own self-determination. Because I think that we have good leaders. Mr. Miller happens to be one. He's not a follower. And say what you want to say, but I believe the current premier has done a very good job as well. So it's going to show. I'm just using the two of those as examples to say that we have our own leadership right here. We don't need step one foot off this island to find good leaders. They're here. They exist amongst us. Okay?
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much for that. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we'll have about 10 minutes No commercial break. Okay, we go straight on. We go. Well, the caller spoke about the leadership that is being displayed by Premier Alden McLaughlin, and there has been some public criticism of him for not saying more than he said. He did present the government and his position in the Legislative Assembly in the statement that he made in the Legislative Assembly in relation to what was seen as, the overreach by the UK government. The Premier, also being a lawyer, recognized that there were things that were still being played out in our courts here, and was certainly cautious about, how much was said in that regard. But also remember that as Premier of the Cayman Islands, as the leader of the Cayman Islands, there is certain information that he can share with us and certain information that he cannot share with us. And I believe that the Premier, in his talks with the Overseas Territories Minister, was able to gauge the was able to gauge the UK's government, the government, not the parliamentarians so much, but the government, the ministerial government, in terms of what their approach to this whole thing would be, but not necessarily being in a position to clear or to share that with the people of the Cayman Islands at that point in time. Any leader, including our Premier, needs to be level-headed, needs to know that you have to be timely in terms of what you do and what you say, and not always is the politician who gets out there and responds to everything at the moment that it happens. That is not necessarily always the right approach, even though here in the Cayman Islands, as well as the Caribbean in general, we like those political leaders who get up on a platform and pontificate and make threats. Sometimes those threats are necessary, and sometimes they work. Sometimes a calm head, cool, calm, and collected, knowing at the end of the day what your plans are, what your response will be, is the approach to take as well. Also, I saw in the Bermuda paper that the Bermuda will be taken off the grey list for the European Union. That will take place sometime in June. That was announced. They had said earlier that they should not have been on there in the first place, and it seems as if that will take place. So Bermuda will join the Cayman Islands, British Virgin Islands, and others who are off it as well. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir.
I just want to say you quickly, I agree with you 100% what you're just saying there. It's good for the Premier times to be cautious and wait an eye-to-eye speech, so to speak, if we can use that right nomenclature there. But that's when he didn't write a letter or something as the other premiers did. That didn't mean that he was just as cognizant of the serious issue and not sitting and planning away. And that's what I saw when he went up there and all that. He would have discussed these serious issues rather than be open this entire case in court and that become a very motive thing. And we know we're not going to want to jump up, just as the members of parliament said to you, the difference in cultures and so forth. They're going to stop and think about all those things. It just before us, and my friend who was just talking about moving towards, and he's right, we have to prepare ourselves. The thing is that I would like for more discussions on what it means to move towards an independent or much more autonomy with the people that they understand. That's the reason why whenever I call in for years, I always say we must remember. Now I guess people are seeing it, that we're a British Crown colony. There's a price to pay for being a British Crown colony, a British overseas territory, whatever you want to call it. There's a price to pay, and we knew these things were coming. People who thought, knew all this was coming. And we did hear mention of all this some few years ago. That and I can't depend on the United Nations. I'm sorry. I think that's a failed organization. I think so. I agree with President Reagan on what he said.
But caller, in this case, the United Nations has set up a decolonization committee with the specific purpose of ensuring that the administering powers live up to their obligations under Article 73 of the United Nations Charter. Now, unlike other areas in terms of peacekeeping and preventing wars and stuff like that, I think that the Decolonization Committee has the potential to be effective if they are accepted by those territories that are being governed by the administering countries.
It all depends who is on that committee also. But what I'd like to say is this, that we've got to remember that if a decision is made to go independent, number one, we have to have a constitution written first, because you must go forward with a constitution, a way of telling the people this is how it will be run, do you agree on it, and so forth. It doesn't have to be something that's done in a referendum, because we wouldn't be able to do it like that whilst we're a British. To write that constitution would have to be an agreed thing with the members of the Legislative Assembly who we voted in a referendum, that they all agree on this is what it would be. Maybe it would take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to formulate something that would be as close as possible to what it would be correct and perfect.
Yes.
And then you would have to hold general elections, so the people that are in at the present time when the decision is made, maybe 4 of the 19 might get re-elected. We don't know, because there'd have to be a general election. So, yes, we do have people capable here, I agree with him 100%, to be able to run this country. I have always said that, and I'll always say it. We have people here. We can seek some advice, and that is prudent, as what was his name again? Mr. Panton did.
Orman Panton.
Yes, Mr. Orman. But we do need that, and that's helpful, and always will be. But we can run it. We're capable of doing that, but we must alert our people, let them know what we are right now. We have to let people understand what we are, what we would need to do. And as he said, it would have to set a timetable. But to adhere to that timetable, you'd have to have that preparation and show them that constitution that would be the one to take us as an independent or a full whatever type of government.
And it need not be along the Westminster style either. It needs to be crafted for our purpose, and it needs to be fit for purpose here. Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much for that, folks. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station. Join Sterling, Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. And Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the